Hello, my dear students. How are you all? Students, today we are going to solve another worksheet which is totally based on your examination pattern. And I have tried to collect the questions which will be clearing your understanding and their usage. And the aim is just to get good scores in your final exams. So each worksheet consists of MCQs and theoretical sections. So let us begin the worksheet with the name of God. It begins with the MCQs, and the first MCQ is, what is not essential for photosynthesis? To get the correct answer, you must be very obvious in the process of photosynthesis, its required conditions, and the products of photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is the process by which plants prepare their food using light, water, carbon dioxide. And the four options which are available here. These four options are carbon dioxide, sugar, light, and water. And when you think about option A, C, and D, these are the conditions required for photosynthesis. And the question is, what is not essential? Means what is not required for photosynthesis is the sugar, because sugar or glucose is the product of photosynthesis. So select the correct answer very confidently. The next MCQ is, a liquid reacts with each of sodium carbonate, Na2CO3, potassium hydroxide, KOH, and ethanol. So there is a liquid which is from these four options: aqueous ammonia, ethanoic acid, ethyl ethanoate, and sodium hydroxide. So you have to see the nature of the liquid which is coming to react with sodium carbonate, potassium hydroxide, and ethanol. Like, first we see what options are available, because it is an open question. Ammonia is a kind of base. It will never be reacting with sodium hydroxide. So option A is not a good one. When we see option C, ethyl ethanoate. Ethyl ethanoate is the product of esterification, when acetic acid reacts with ethanol. So it cannot be the suitable answer. The next is D, sodium hydroxide. Again, sodium hydroxide is a kind of base. It will not be reacting with potassium hydroxide. So the most suitable chemical which is available in these four options are ethanoic acid. Ethanoic acid is basically acetic acid. It quickly reacts with potassium hydroxide to give potassium acetate, and it reacts with ethanol to give ethyl acetate or ethyl ethanoate as an ester, a fruity smell compounds, and it also reacts with sodium carbonate to give sodium acetate and carbon dioxide. So this is how we try to select the correct answer, that is ethanoic acid. Here we see the third MCQ is, which compound on combustion never forms carbon? Here the question is from combustion reaction. Combustion reaction is a type of chemical reaction in which organic compound or a substance is burned with oxygen to give carbon dioxide, water vapor, and energy. So here we see, out of these four options, only carbon monoxide is the compound which never forms carbon. Otherwise, ethanol, ethene, and methane produces carbon on incomplete combustion. Then fourth MCQ is, which of the following is not a condensation polymer? Condensation polymer is that compound in which two smaller compounds are linked when a water molecule is removed. So this is the condition for their condensation, for their linkages. And out of these four options, only polyethylene is that polymer in which the ethene units are linked one after another by just opening up the chain of carbon fragment. So this is the only polymer which is not considered as a condensation polymer because no water molecule is coming out. Fifth MCQ is, which statement about the properties of propane and hexane is correct? Now we see what options are there. Option A, propane has a higher boiling point than hexane. Okay, we can think for it. Option B, propane has a high relative molecular mass than hexane. It can't be true because hexa means having 6 carbons in it and propa means having just 3 carbons in the organic compound. So it can't be correct. Propane has more isomers than hexane. No, as propane has only 3 carbons in it and hexane has 6 carbons. As the number of carbon atoms increase in organic compound, the number of polymers also increase, isomers also increase. D, propane is more flammable than hexane. Okay, now you have to see point number D and option number A. In option A, it is given propane has a higher boiling point than hexane. If you truly understand the wrong thing in option A, which is given that propane has a higher BP, how is it possible? Because as the number of carbon atom increases all the time, the molecule gets bigger and the number of covalent bonds also increase and gradually increase the boiling point. So propane has lower carbon atoms, smaller structures, lower number of covalent bonds. It cannot be having higher boiling point. So option C seems much sensible here because propane is more flammable than hexane. So smaller organic compounds have greater volatility and they are more flammable because of having lower boiling points. So the option D is the truly correct option. Now number 6. When a volcano erupts, which gas is produced in a significant amount? That is a fact that whenever some volcanic activity happens or takes place, the gas which is released in bulk is a pollutant gas is none other than sulfur dioxide. MCQ number 7, 4 compounds are shown and you can see that all these 4 compounds consist of carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. The very first attempt is you just write their molecular formulae by counting number of carbon atoms, hydrogen and oxygen. Then you analyze which compounds have the same empirical formula. Empirical formula means the simplest whole number ratio of elements present in the compound. So you see compound number 1 has 4 carbons, 8 hydrogens and 2 oxygens. And compound number 3 has 4 hydrogens, 2 carbons and just 1 oxygen. So what do you think? I think compound number 3 is a half of compound number 1. You also solve for the rest of 2 options to select the correct answer. MCQ number 8. Fats, carbohydrates and proteins all contain which chemical elements? Option A, carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. That's absolutely very close answer to the answer, but we have to see the rest of the options as well. Carbon, hydrogen and nitrogen. Nitrogen is compulsory or essential element of proteins, but not the carbohydrates and fats. Simply carbon, hydrogen and sulfur, no condition. Carbon, nitrogen and oxygen, again no condition. So the very suitable elemental composition of fats, carbohydrates and proteins, that they all contain carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. MCQ number 9. Which compounds are alcohol? So the necessary condition for an organic compound to be classified as alcohol, that aliphatic carbon is connected with OH, which have hydroxyl group in them. So you see, wherever this OH link is available, that compound must be alcohol. So you see, compound number 1 is alcohol. Yes, it seems alcohol. Compound number 2, alcohol. Compound number 3, alcohol, but not compound number 4, because compound number 4 has this carboxylic group in it, COOH, that must be classified as carboxylic acid. So the best option is C, 1, 2 and 3. Okay. The 10th MCQ is the fractional distillation apparatus shown as being used to separate a mixture of two liquids. A thermometer is missing from the apparatus. Okay, the scientist has forgotten to put the thermometer. So there are 4 places which the technician is thinking of, okay, where the bulb of the thermometer should be placed. So what do you think for the thermometer to be placed at this place? Do you think it should be placed at the B? Yes. Then should we think just here at C or in the conical flask? So there must be some reason for placing the thermometer. If you place the thermometer at right place B, its bulb should be just at the level where the rising vapors or boiling vapors have to enter the condenser. So this is the place where the correct temperature must be read or measured. So a thermometer bulb should be at the level where the outlet is coming out. Okay, now we see the theory section. What is aqueous solution? Very obvious. Aqua means water, or the solutions in which water is used as a solvent are called as aqueous solution. And whenever you see this AQ written in a chemical equation, you just get the idea that that species must be in its aqueous form. What is a precipitate? Precipitate is the insoluble solid product of a chemical reaction, and the precipitates are insoluble solids, so they should be separated from the solution by simple filtration. Suggest the name of the reagent and construct the ionic equation with state symbols for the formation of green precipitate, copper carbonate, that's a solid, and name of the reagent X, and the ionic equation is also asked. So you see what you are asked here. You are asked about the chemical reaction which prepares copper carbonate. So it must be 2 reagents. One, copper carbonate. Okay, here we have to see what are the chemicals required for the formation of copper carbonate. It's a solid and it's a precipitate. It must be formed after a chemical reaction. So one of the chemical which is required here is copper in the form of copper sulfate. As the copper ions are dissolved, they must be in their aqueous state. And the other chemical which is used here is sodium carbonate, which is giving carbonate. Again, the carbonate ions are aqueous and they produce after reaction copper carbonate, that's a solid, and we often use a downward arrow to represent it. So here we see the reagent which is producing is sodium carbonate with copper sulfate solution, and the product of the reaction is a precipitate of green color, that is copper carbonate. So I hope that I have tried to explain or give you the conceptual knowledge which is required for every student to select and to write the correct answer. Thank you, class. I will come again with another worksheet. Just solve it, try to learn it heartily, and whenever you feel any difficulty, you can send me the feedback. You never put your messages, you never comment, or I am always blind in this because I am giving my side. You are not giving me your side. So I am forwarding you these lessons using my YouTube channel. If you have not subscribed it, please do it and watch the videos. There is the whole library for all the videos from your class. Thank you, class. God bless you. See you in the next video.